Good morning, children. I hope all of you doing well. Okay. So in the last class and in the first class, we have discussed about the number of things. I hope you should recall once again briefly. In the first class, we have discussed about the meaning of the reproduction, and also we have discussed about the lifespan and the different lifespan of different organisms, and also we have discussed about the vegetative propagation. And in the last class, we have discussed about the phases of the sexually reproducing organisms. So today we will continue with respect to the sexually reproducing organisms. They have to undergo three stages or the events in their life cycle. So let us discuss the events or the stages in the sexual reproducing organisms or the stages in sexual reproduction. So there are majorly we can see three stages in sexually reproducing organism: pre-fertilization events, fertilization events, and post-fertilization events. Okay, and even these pre-fertilization events will be differentiated into two steps or the stages: the gametogenesis and gamete transfer. Let us discuss one by one. Okay, in that one, first one is a pre-fertilization events. The word itself indicates pre means before or earlier. Okay, before the fertilization, what are the events? Okay, then so the events prior to the fusion of the gametes. Okay, the events prior to the fusion of the gametes, that means before. Prior means before to the fusion of the gametes. These events will be considered as the pre-fertilization events, and majorly they include gametogenesis and gamete transfer. Okay, so let us discuss one by one what is the meaning of the gametogenesis and gamete transfer. First, let us discuss the gametogenesis. The word itself indicates it is the formation of male and female gametes. So during the sexual reproducing organism, whenever they undergo the formation of the gametes, the diploid gametes are differentiated into haploids. There's a gametes, they undergo generally, they produces haploid cells. And these two generally will be, we can see two type of the gametes. That is homogametes and heterogametes. Homo means similar. See, you can see here in the diagram, the A, isogametes of the cladophora. In algae, we cannot differentiate it into a male and female. That means they are similar gametes. They cannot categorize into male and female. Okay, so then such a type of the gametes, they are known as iso, means similar. Best example, the lower algae like cladophora, they can possess like these structures. And heterogametes. Heterogametes, the word itself indicates hetero means different. The male and female gametes, they are distinct. Distinct means different, structurally and morphologically. The male and female gametes are distinct types. So generally, male gametes is called anthrozoids. They are commonly known as sperms, and the female gamete is called egg or ovum. We can see such a type of the structures in fucus and alga, even in lower, the organisms like alga, they produces a different structure, that is heterogametes. And in higher organisms like human beings, we can see the sperms and egg, they are different. Okay, so then these will be considered as the heterogametes. Then, so after this one, how we can be classify the organisms? See, generally based on the sexuality, that means organism, how can we classify? Yes, this is a male and female. Based on the sexuality of an organism, we can classify into either the bisexual or we can also say unisexuals. So in organism, let us discuss one by one the bisexual, meaning the male and female reproductive structures, if they are present in the same individual or the same organism, such a type of the organisms, they are known as bisexual or unisexual organisms. So we can give very best example in case of the plants, hibiscus. They can possess both male reproductive structure and female reproductive structure in a single flower or a single plant. And in case of the Pisum sativum, pea plant also, we can see the bisexual flowers, which bears the bisexual. If, in a flowering plants, the male flower, if they bears only male flowers, then such a type of the flowers are known as staminate. Remember, there are some cases, okay? So, they mean the flowers which bears only male reproductive structures, then those flowers are considered as staminates. And if in some cases in the flowers they bear only female reproductive structures, then those flowers will be considered as pistillate. Okay, but if they bears both, male and female structures or the flowers are present on the same plant, then such a plants are known as monoecious. Example, we can give cucurbita, coconut. Okay, so in these cases we can see such a type of the structures. And generally, the terminologies we use is, for the case of the monoecious generally, or the bisexual, we use the terminology. In case of the the plants. What about in case of the animals? In animals, we can use a terminology that is hermaphrodites. Hermaphrodites, the earthworms, leeches, sponges, tapeworm. In these organisms, both male and female reproductive structures, they are present on the same organism. Then such a type of the animals, they are known as hermaphrodites. Okay? Yeah. And see here in this case only, you can just observe what are the reproductive structures which is present in the first case. You can see in earthworm. Okay, reproductive structures. Last year we have studied in the chapter structural organization animals. In case of cockroaches also, and if you take an example of the Kera and the lower level organisms like Markantia, we can see they are different. That means male reproductive structures are different, female reproductive structures are different But in case of the Kera, both male and female reproductive structures present in the same plant. Okay, and let us discuss the unisexual. If the male and female reproductive structures are present on different individuals, as I was telling about, the male and female reproductive structures, they are present on different individuals of the plant. If a male and female flowers are present on the different, then what do you call the terminology? Then here we can use the terminology dioecious. Okay, there it is a monoecious, here it is a dioecious. Example, papaya, date palms. Okay, and if we take an example of the animals, so the terminology, the cockroaches and higher animals, they are unisexual animals. That means the male cockroaches are different, female cockroaches are different. Okay, then, and there are certain generally in a lower level organisms we can see based on the reproductive structures. If you take an example of the fungi, they may be homothallic. Homo means similar. Okay, in case of the bisexual, homothallic we use the terminology, and in case of the heterothallic, unisexuality, they are present in the different organisms. Got it? Yeah. So if you observe keenly here, the bisexual animal earthworm, the unisexual animal cockroach, the monoecious plant Kera, okay, a dioecious plant Markantia, and you can see, okay, the structure, that is a bisexual flower structures which is present in the sweet potato plant. Okay, that is a sweet potato plant flower. Okay, fine. And after this one, as I said, the pre-fertilization events, okay, which is majorly involved the cell division and the gamete formations. So how it will be? The many monoerons, that means the lower level organisms like fungi, algae, even bryophytes have haploid parental body. Okay, that means they produces haploid gametes by mitosis. Mitosis means, you know very well that in the last year we have studied about the two types of the cell division, mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis, it is quite can be seen in the body formation cells, autosomes. Then what about the meiosis? Meiosis can be seen in, gamete formation, during the formation of gametes, the allosomes. Okay, autosomes, in autosomes we can identify the mitosis. In allosomes, we can identify the meiosis. And in pteridophytes, the plants, okay, the lower level, after the, lower level plants like algae and, the bryophytes, the pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms, and even higher organisms, the animals have a diploid parental body. They produce haploid gametes by meiosis of meiocytes. The meiocyte is commonly known as the gamete mother cell. See here, there is a table they have given. Recently, your seniors, they have written the exam, theory exams in the month of the March. They have asked question, what is the chromosomal number in the meiocyte of human? They have asked. Actually, it was easy, but some students they have written, but some students they got confused. See, meiocyte is nothing but gamete mother cell. It will be containing diploid chromosomes. When they undergo meiosis, the diploid is get converted into haploids. Okay, so here you can see the example humans. The meiocyte number is 46. In case of when they form the gametes, that is get converted into the diploid is get converted to haploid. That is 23. Even in case of the housefly, 12 in meiocytes, 6 in gametes, and rat 42 the meiocytes, and the 21 in gametes. Like this, okay, like this, we can differentiate the chromosomal number, or we can identify the chromosomal number in the meiocytes and the gametes. Okay, and based on this table, there are a number of cases. They have asked 1 mark questions also in competitive exams. Also, they have asked which one of the organisms they possess highest number of the chromosomes in gametes, or sometimes they have asked in meiocytes also. Okay, Ophioglossum is a plant which possesses a flower. Okay, in meiocytes it will be containing diploid number only. See, you cannot believe 1260 chromosomes which is present in the meiocytes. In haploid only, of the number 630. Okay, so like that we can give examples. And the least number in this table, we can identify the fruit fly. Commonly known as the Cinderella of the genetics. Those things we will discuss in the next coming classes. The fruit fly is commonly known as the Cinderella of the genetics. Okay, it is a Drosophila melanogaster. In Drosophila, in meiocyte, it is only about 8 in number. When they form the haploid or the gametes, it will be containing 4 in number. Okay, so this will be very useful and for the next coming classes. Okay, so after this one, what is the the important event? It is which comes under pre-fertilization events, the gamete transfer. Gametogenesis is the formation of gametes. After that, for the successful fertilization, they have to transfer. Okay, for the purpose of the successful, that means the process of the fertilization, they have to transfer. If they don't transfer, this process will be completely get wasted. Okay, gametogenesis will be get wasted. For the continuity, okay, this gamete transfer is very important. Yeah. So what is a gamete transfer? After the formation of the gametes, they have to move. That is, male gametes needs medium or external agencies to move towards the female gametes for the fertilization. Okay, so if there will be no medium or if there will be no agents, for example, we can majorly differentiate it into 2 agents, the biotic agents and abiotic agents. Abiotic agents like water or wind, so these will be considered as the abiotic agent. Biotic agents like insects, organisms, so these will be considered as the biotic agents. But they require the male gametes need a medium to move towards the female gamete for the purpose of successful fertilization. In most of the organisms, the male gamete is motile due to the presence of the and motile structures like cilia. Okay, and we can also find like flagella like structures. And a female gamete is stationary. Stationary means non-motile. They cannot move. But in some fungi and algae, both the types of the gametes are motile. Because why? In these cases, some not all the species, some species of fungi and algae, both will be having, the motile structures like cilia, or we can also say the motile structures. So due to the presence of the motile structures, they can move. Okay, both the male and female reproductive structures, they will move. But it is not possible in all the cases. Okay, then. And in simple plants like algae, abraphites and pteridophytes, gamete transfer takes place through the water medium. I told you just now, the water is an abiotic agent which is responsible for the, gamete transfer. Okay, and to compensate the loss of the male gametes during the transport, a large number of the male gametes is produced. See, for example, consider if the plant releases only a few number of the male reproductive structures into the water, there is no guarantee. How can we give guarantee that only few numbers will be go and meet the female reproductive structures for the purpose of the survival? See, this is very important during the period of the evolution for the successful gamete transfer and the successful fertilization. They produces huge number, large number of the male gametes. It is about thousands together. They produce a large number of the male gametes, so that at least few of them they will reach the female reproductive structures. And in seeded plant, especially seeded plants like gymnosperms and angiosperms. Okay, so the pollen grains is that is common as the anther. Okay, that is a male reproductive structure. That is, a pollen grains carry male gametes and the ovule carries the egg. The pollen grains are transferred into the stigma. So this process is also known as pollination. Okay, the transfer of pollen grains from where? From anther to the stigmatic surface of the female reproductive structure of the flower is known as pollination, isn't it? Yeah. So after this one, what will happen? As we were discussing about the sexuality of the flowering plants, in bisexual we can see a self-fertilizing plant, that is autogamy. The anthers and stigma are close to each other, so that the transfer of pollen grains is very easy. That is autogamy. It is also known as self-pollination, self-fertilization, or self-pollinating plants also we can say. Okay, because both male and female reproductive structures are nearer to each other, so that the transfer of pollen grains is very easy. Okay, due to the abiotic agents and biotic, whatever it may be. But what about in case of the cross-pollination? It includes the generally dioecious plants. The pollination helps in a transfer of pollen grains. The pollen grains germinate on the stigma, and the pollen tubes carry the male gametes to reach the ovule and discharge the male gametes near the egg. So this complete process we will discuss in the next chapter, because next chapter that is only completely we will discuss how is the process in the chapter sexual reproducing of flowering plants. Okay, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Here we are discussing about only the process. Okay, then, and in dioecious animals, the fertilization helps for the successful transfer and coming together of the gametes. Then only we can see a fertilization, or else there will be no fertilization at all. Okay, fine. And after this one, see here the process. Whenever the gamete transfer near to each other, whenever the male reproductive structures reaches near to the female reproductive structure, when they comes in contact of each other, then they undergo fertilization. This is the second, the second event of the sexual reproducing organism, the fertilization. The fertilization is also known as SYNGAMY. Okay. So what is the meaning of SYNGAMY? The fusion of male and female gametes. The fusion of male and female gametes. So this process is known as fertilization, or we can also say SYNGAMY. See here in this diagram, you can see whenever the sperms meet the egg or ovum, by penetrating the sperm nucleus entering into the egg and they fuses each other, the fusion, and there is a formation of the zygote. So until then those reproductive structures are known as haploid structures, and now after the fusion there is a formation of diploid zygote. Okay, then and there are some specific the nature or the organism we can identify in our nature in rotifers, okay, rotifers, and even honeybees, insects, some lizards, birds, especially turkey birds. And so what are the specific nature in this organism? The female gamete develops into a new organism without fertilization. Remember, so this is very important. So the parthenogenesis. Because again the question arises, how is it possible? Yes, this is possible, of course, only in case of these organisms, rotifers, honeybees, some lizards and birds like turkeys, because there are a number of cases what will happen. If they don't get the male organism, or if there will be no male organisms only female organisms are present. Consider in case of honeybees only. If they don't undergo parthenogenesis, what may happen? There will be no further generation at all. Okay. For the survival, for the purpose of the survival, I told you number of times, during the period of evolution, for the successful, okay, survival, this is one of the secret behind the success of the, in case of absence of male also. Okay. So then they undergo a parthenogenesis. Okay, but don't think that these honeybees they undergo only parthenogenesis. In case of the honeybees, we can see both haploid and diploid also. Okay, so that means the N only will be gives rise to the N, then they undergo, the organism will be gives rise to the new offspring, and also whenever there will be in presence of the opposite sex, the fusion of N and N will be gives rise to the again further offspring. Okay, so that is the specific nature, such a type of the fertilization we will discuss in the next coming classes. Haplodiploid type of fertilization. We can also say such a type of the fertilization haplodiploid. Okay, fine. But that is not in all the cases, only few specific cases. Yes. And fertilization, see here, it is very important. There are two type of the fertilization we can identify. Based on the how it will be takes place and where it will be takes place. The fertilization is majorly divided into two types. That is external fertilization and internal fertilization. So let us discuss one by one. External. The word itself indicates the SYNGAMY occurs in the external medium, or we can also say outside the body of an organism. Okay. So here in this case only you can see the diagram frog. Okay. That means the most aquatic organisms, many algae, bony fishes and amphibians. So that means such organisms they show synchrony. Synchrony means when they attain the maturity. Okay, when they attain the maturity and they at the time of releasing reproductive structures between that means the opposite sexes, and they release a large number of gametes into the surrounding medium to ensure SYNGAMY. Okay, so that it is also known as the heat period generally. So heat period, in that period the male and female organisms they come near to each other, but they releases huge or large number of reproductive structures into the surrounding medium or external medium. Okay, so then they undergo a fertilization. But this takes place outside the body of an organism, isn't it? Yeah. So that's why it is also known as external fertilization. But the thing is, there is a disadvantage. There is a disadvantage of this external fertilization. The offspring are external, that is extremely vulnerable to predators, threatening to their survival up to the adulthood. So what is the reason? So there are number of aquatic organisms will be present in the water medium. They may engulf or they may eat those reproductive structures. Okay, and sometime what will happen if the external medium or the water, if they become extremely cool or extremely high, if they reaches extremely high temperature, the survival capability will be loses. Okay, so yeah, so but anyway, so this is a disadvantage. If sometimes they will ask, given disadvantage of external fertilization, then you should ready to write this one. Yes. So after this one, yes, internal fertilization. So internal fertilization can be seen in higher organism, especially if you take example of the aves. Here there is a structure or the diagram, you can see the internal fertilization in cock and hen. During the heat period, they comes in contact of each other, they undergo intercourse. So then this is also known as the copulation. Okay, we can also say copulation. Yes. So here the syngamy means the fertilization occurs inside the body of an organism. Okay, especially so this type of fertilization we can see in terrestrial organism. Okay, and also belonging to the fungi, even animals, higher animals like reptiles, birds or aves, and higher mammals. Okay, and higher plants like bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. Okay, almost all the higher plants, higher animals, they show internal fertilization. In this, I mean the case of the internal fertilization, non-motile egg is formed inside the female. Okay, so non-motile means they don't, move anywhere. Okay, so they will be present in the inside the female body of an organism to where the motile male gamete reaches for the purpose of the, of, the fertilization. When they comes in contact of each other, they fuses. Okay, they fuses each other. If you take an example of gymnosperms only or angiosperms, the seeded plants, okay, the non-motile male gametes, that means which is present which is present egg inside the ovary, where the male gametes, that is the pollen grains, comes in contact of the any external agencies like abiotic agents or biotic agents. When they transfers on the surface of the stigmatic surface through the pollen tubes, so there is a large number of the the male reproductive structures. They will be moved towards the female reproductive structures. And in case of the higher organisms also, if you take example of humans only, large number of sperms are produced, but the number of egg is very few in number. Okay, fine. And what will happen? So after that, when the reproductive structures reaches each other, the events, okay, the post-fertilization, once the fertilization process, okay, completes, so then after that, the post means after the fertilization, whatever the events will be takes place, those will be considered post-fertilization events. The zygotes. Here, whenever the haploid gametes are fused together, there is a formation of the zygote, diploid zygote. The development of the zygote depends upon the type of the, life cycle of an organism and the nature of the environment. In fungi and algae, the zygote develops a thick wall that is resistant to the desiccation for the purpose of survival. Okay, because sometimes it may become extremely cool or extremely high temperature. To protect from the external environment, they undergo. So that means a period of the rest before the germination. It is also known as a temporarily. Okay, temporarily they undergo. That means they will become inactive. Then In organisms, so with the haplontic life cycle, the zygote divides by meiosis into haploid spores that grow into haploid individuals. So we have discussed in the first year haplontic life cycle. I hope you remember that is haploid life cycle, haplontic life cycle. And the sexually reproducing organisms begins life as a zygote. Then the zygote is a vital link between the organism of the generation and the next further generation. The zygote is a vital link between the organisms of the generation and the next generations. Okay, fine. Alright. So now you can see other important the post-fertilization events, embryogenesis. It is the development of embryo from the zygote. You can also see the phenomena of formation of embryo. During the embryogenesis, the zygote undergo a cell division and the cell differentiation. The cell division increases the number of the cells in the embryo, and what will happen? The cell differentiation causes the differentiation nothing but divisions. Okay, modification of the groups of the cell into the various tissues and organs to form an organism. Okay, here we can see the embryogenesis in case of the plants, especially in angiosperm, dicots, and here in case of the animals, they have given how the zygote undergo division. It will become 2-cell stage, then 4-cell stage, 8-cell stage, and it will undergo a repeated division. Finally, it will be given stage with different structures, that is nothing but tissues, organs, and finally, completely, it will be given to a particular organism. Based on the place of zygote development, again, animals are classified into two types. That is oviparous and viviparous. It is very easy to remember and also study based on the how they give rise to the young ones. That is embryogenesis only. Okay, yeah. The oviparous and viviparous. The word itself indicates here animals lay a fertilized or unfertilized egg. Example, in case of the reptiles and birds, the fertilized eggs are covered by a hard calcareous, that is calcium carbonate, calcareous shell to protect, and it is laid in a safe place. Okay, there is a terminology we have is the parental care. Okay, and after a particular period of the incubation, the young ones hatch out. Okay, that means generally we can also say oviparous means the egg-laying animals. Egg-laying animals is also known as oviparous. The process oviparity or the oviparity. Okay, yeah. Then viviparous or viviparity. Here the zygote develops into a young one inside the female body. Okay, so up to particular period, the zygote develops into young ones inside the female body. Later, the young ones are delivered out of the body. Okay, the most of the mammals, including human beings, until they become up to particular maturity level, they will stay safely inside the female organism. So when they complete the gestation period, okay, so they will come out. Then because of the proper parental care and the protection, the chances of the survival of the young ones are greater comparatively to the oviparous in case of the viviparous animals. Because as I said, in case of oviparous, the animals lay outside lay the eggs outside. There are a number of cases. They may be get destroyed by because of the environmental factor due to any another organism. But in case of the viviparous, so because of the proper parental care and the protection, the chances of survival of the young ones are greater comparative to the viviparous. Okay, so this is with respect to the first chapter. So let me to conclude briefly. Actually, these are all things we have discussed in the classes only. I told you in the beginning only. That means it's become two gap or one gap. That's why I have started from the first chapter only. in the chapter the reproduction in organism. In this chapter we have discussed about the meaning of the reproduction and the types of the reproduction, the lifespan, and also we have discussed about the reproduction is broadly classified into two types: asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction, meaning of asexual reproduction, and organisms with example vegetative propagation. And after that one we have discussed about the phases of the sexually reproducing organism. Then after we have discussed about the sexual reproduction in organism with examples. And after that one, today in this class we have discussed about the different events of the the sexual reproducing organism. In that one we have discussed about the pre-fertilization events, fertilization events, and post-fertilization events. Okay, so on based on the the embryogenesis, the classification, these are all things we have discussed in the this chapter. I hope you you people understand. If you are having still any doubts, please let me know. Please message me for valuable feedback. Okay, let me to improve myself as well as study together. Thank you.